Open dialogue on modern cannabis potency and edibles. A podcast revealing discussion
I had not gotten correctly or that weren't adequately supported. So my response was, I did this publicly, come on the podcast.
Right.
Like, I'm not afraid to talk science. That's what I do. Like, let's go. And not in a combative way. He agreed to come on the podcast. We had a great discussion. And one of the things that he said was the whole idea that, there's so much more THC in weed now that's leading to all these problems. Like the weed of today is not the weed of yesterday. Mm-hmm. He said when people inhale, they take it by vape or they smoke it or whatever. His words are that there's far fewer cases of people taking in more. They're able to reach that point that they want to be at without going too far. However, even though it's higher potency, when people take it by edible,
right,
there are cases where people get to genuine freak out and psychotic episodes because they're taking in far too much too quickly, because you can eat the edible quickly. They're not layering it in until they hit that plane that they want to be at.
Well, it's also the conversion to 11-hydroxymetabolite. It's 5 times more psychoactive than THC. I used to do a joke about it, that it lets you talk to dolphins. This bit is a true story about edibles and dolphin experience. But
so he wasn't anti-cannabis. And in fact, I think it was a case where, maybe this brings us back to Twitter, where Twitter was a very valuable tool. So I put out something, I was going off the literature that I cited. Mm-hmm. He said, no, listen, there's some issues here. You should adjust this. We brought him on the podcast. He was reluctant to come on the podcast. He thought I was going to set him up for a fall. We've never done that.
Yeah,
comes on the podcast, got the information out there, and then it all just kind of went to a quiet simmer or nothing. And in the end, I think that's the way that all of this stuff should be handled. Whether or not you're talking about one medical treatment or another and this is the way you've done it. And this is the example you've laid out for me and for others, right? Which is talk about both sides. Talk to vegans, talk to carnivores, talk to omnivores, talk to people who are pro-cannabis, anti, and worried about psychosis and not. Talk to people that are really pro-MDMA for the treatment of PTSD. Talk to people who are very reluctant.
Yeah.
I think only there can we get the overlap in the Venn diagram about what the agreements are and what the disagreements are and move forward. And this
especially long form, because then you get to understand how a person thinks about things, not just the subject at hand, but maybe other things.